Forces for the future as social media, mobile technology are impacting the future of Arab travel and tourism. We have three, I'm going to use the phrase influencers, it's a controversial term, but I'm going to use it anyway. We have three social media influencers joining us on the panel. First of all, you bring welcoming our moderator this afternoon, a social media expert, Ali Al-Sayed. And as Ali makes her way up to the stage, let me tell you that our three panelists this afternoon are, first of all, best known as Travel Junkie Diary. Please welcome the travel blogger and influencer, Michelle Karam. Michelle, join us, please. We also have Sam Chewy, aviation enthusiast and influencer. And finally, Captain Ferrat, creative pilot and social media influencer, who's passionate about educating people about education. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to have you.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's very nice to be here.
So it's a weird system.
Thank you.
We have three live on at the same time. It'll get me. You got me.
Thanks, Richard. Good afternoon, everybody. It's very nice to be here. I'd like to take the first 5 minutes just so that we can go around the panel and have everybody introduce themselves. We've got Sam Chewy up first.
Hi guys. I'm an aviation blogger. I'm based in Dubai. I love aviation when I was young, aviation geek, enthusiast. I started like that, and I'm still like one, and I'll be until I end. I'm mainly more YouTuber. I like to make movies. I like to document aviation experiences, traveling, and very passionate. Hoping is driven by passion.
Just for the record, Sam is the biggest aviation blogger in the world currently.
Thank you.
Michelle Karam from Travel Junkie Diary.
Hi, guys. Oh, sorry. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Karam. I'm a travel blogger. I'm the first travel blogger here in the region. Started 4.5 years ago. My background is in events and travel, so I was in the industry for about 22 years now. I love travel, love the luxury side of travel, the adventure side. I love to write about it, and I'm self-taught on photography, videos, and social media as well.
Thank you, Michelle. And finally, we have Captain Faris.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Firas Manallah. I'm a book author of the Secrets of the Aviation World. I'm also a social media aviation influencer. I've been doing it for about 4 years, and also happen to be an airline pilot for about 18 years. And during my experience, I decided to make that unknown territory for the public to be well known and give them more insight from what we do.
Thank you. We're going to start off with the first question that's been tabled. How, in your opinion, has social media and mobile tech affected the type of product on offer from the variety of travel companies, whether they be aviation companies, tourism companies, hotels, etc.? Sam?
I think social media is fantastic. I think social media is your ultimate sales and marketing channel that all airlines, travel companies should embrace. It is a free tool for influencer, for anyone to use to promote, market any good experiences and bad experience they encounter. You remember this year, there's a famous United Airlines dragging accident and dragging someone off the plane. That went viral on the internet. That is a prime example of one of those service perspective that social media is so powerful that can make it or break it for you.
Michelle?
I think social media today has changed the way we travelers have purchased travel when it comes to airlines or hotels or even destinations travel. Today we're very lucky enough to find inspiration through travel bloggers, through travelers, influencers, and Instagrammers as well. where we can ask them anything on real time, whether this, the hotel has a kids club, or whether they have a vegan food or a specific kind of food. So everything is really on real time. And it's changed the way we see travel, because everything now is very clear and transparent and attainable today, as it used to be a long time ago. Information is there, and I think the social media has helped that a lot.
Captain?
Okay, I think the social media industry has changed the game now with traveling and tourism, because now everything becomes so instant and everything becomes more feasible to the traveler. They can get any kind of information from anywhere around the world. All they need to do is just take a position, and then they can get whatever they want from that position, whether it's tourism, whether it's where is the best way, how to get there, whatever it is. So it became more simple, it became more easier and more feasible for everyone.
Thank you. That sort of takes us into the next question, which is a topic that's become very relevant in this day and age, particularly with the millennials and Generation Z. You approach cultural values and brand values in any campaign that is executed or deployed, whether it be social media one or not. How relevant do you think those values are to your followers and the resulting engagement? Sam?
Okay. I'll give an example. Last year, towards the end of the year, I did a video. It was surprisingly well received. I did a YouTube video on Etihad Airways from Abu Dhabi on their residence on the A380. So it's a top product, and the level of engagement, comments, likes, dislikes, it went viral. It has about 11 million hits alone on YouTube, plus probably 50, 60 more million over Facebook sharing and Instagram and all sort of channels on digital and traditional. And I would say, I have even directly sold 10 tickets afterwards on the Etihad residence, which is a very expensive product alone. And I think coming back to the question, the content it provides, people want in this region, they love to follow this kind of stuff because it's a personalized content that people can see. An average looking guy like me can travel well, and people want to do the same thing. People can see the virtual reality, literally a 360 on that video, to see every aspect of the service delivery. And it's very important to show exactly what people want to see, to have this kind of exposure.
Thank you. Michelle?
I think that today brands should always be careful on who they work with. It's always a positive side, and so it does have also a negative impact. However, the positive side of things, when we work with the right influencer or traveler or Instagrammer, your message is sent across in a clear way. And I think that when you're following the right Instagrammer or blogger or influencer at that time, you're able to promote more of what your message will be like. So I think we all agree here that we have to be true to our brand. Consistency, transparency is very important as well. So when a brand wants to work with someone that can represent them, they need to go back with a background check of who that influencer represented before. Do they follow the same? Does it follow the same message or values that we do? And I think that's something very important.
Thank you. I think Captain Firas has something to add to this.
Yeah, I think the new generation is different than the older one. The new generation they don't have what sort of patience that we have, because they want fresh information, they want it short, and they want it now. They have no patience to wait for you to print your magazine. They have no patience to watch an advertisement between, let's say, Game of Thrones, whether they watch it or whatever. They want information now. They will not waste any time. If you don't give them what they want at the shortest time, you lost them. So I think the airline industry and the tourism industry should target these people because they are becoming your customers in the future as well. And they'll be making the decision in purchasing and traveling and doing their things. And it has to be within these limits.
Thank you. We were discussing this earlier, and I remember you were saying that you got a lot of comments from your followers on the types of posts that you shared.
Yes.
Seeing as that you do work in the aviation industry by virtue of your title as captain, how have you found that the companies out there are responding to the demands of Generation Z and the millennials in terms of personalized experiences?
Okay, this is something that made me, I guess, more likable from the followers because I am from the industry. I am basically one of them. I don't represent anybody else, and I give them what they need. At the same time, with all the experience that I've been doing during the past years in social media, I became to understand more of what the followers need, or exactly these followers, they are also travelers. So I know exactly what they want. And that experience also made me realize that these people cannot be tricked. And the airline industry or the aviation industry, actually, they are neglecting them. Not too many people targeting these people. They are still using the same way or the same method. They are advertising or marketing, mass media. They are taking it the same way on social media, which is just wrong.
Thank you. Sam, I remember you had something to say about this earlier in terms of trends and in terms of how some companies are refusing to engage.
I think it's very interesting learning sense discovery path across social media because we're going to remember Facebook came probably just 10 years ago as the first social media, and the smartphone arrived with the first generation iPhone, and now we've got everything, Instagram, Twitter across the deck. So in terms of aviation and tourism business, we are at the forefront of embracing digital, which we should be, because of everyone's like to follow your friends or your families for your travel experiences is much more excited than get out of your normal living lifestyle. And I would have to say, from my working experience in this region, in the GCC and Middle East in particular, a lot of airline and hotels and tourism board are embracing digital way ahead of the game than the rest of the world, which is a great thing to see that they value the digital. Maybe they come ways to quantify the success of digital as well.
Thank you. Michelle, we all agree that social media, within its name, has the word media, but it isn't really just media. Yes? Would you like to comment on that?
It's not really just media. It's inside the personal life, inside the mind, inside the heart of those or the person who is traveling or promoting a brand or taking a photo of something. So you fall in love with a person behind the lens, behind the Instagram account or social media or YouTube account. It's because you follow their passion, you follow what they're really into, as opposed to just sending out a press release in the magazine and just copy pasting everything what it is, what the brand has sent. You actually do fall in love with their passion and you get inspired. So you get inspired from sitting on a couch to getting up and going places, or it doesn't even have to be going places. It could be doing anything that makes you happy. It's just turning a passion into a reliable, successful business, turning your passion or hobby into what we call to be a life and not just surviving. So it's not just media, it's not just beautiful photos and scripted words. For the right influencer, for the right blogger or YouTuber, you follow them as who they are and you trust them because of them, and I think that represents a lot on their profile, with maybe YouTube or Instagram or a blog, So yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Captain? I have one comment on this. So many people in so many industries, when they hear social media, they stereotype on social media that they are all the same. Social media has so much different platform. Each platform is represented and dealt with separately and differently. You cannot treat each social media platform the same. And now we have to target so many different people, so many different levels on these social media. Once you pick up how you do it, then that's a completely different story, because social media, there are no rules. Everybody play differently until he finds the rules that works for him.
Thank you. Sam, do you think that the integration between personalization in response to the millennials and Generation Z demanding more personalization has completed itself with social media, beyond the aspect of just reporting on what everybody does in their life on a daily basis?
No, I think it's a continual discovery path. I don't think anyone could give you a definite answer. And however, I felt that it's continued to progress. I think that in a few years, the technology enablement is going to become so much easier for everyone. These days, everyone's already on the phone. That is a camera in the phone, there's a video in the phone. So in a few years, the virtual reality, the 360 degrees, a lot of new technology will enable this thing to go further and further. And I do see a diminishing value for traditional, I have to say, that's my point of view. And because everybody will become a self-journalist, everybody will become a self-reporter, and it adds a whole lot new game and new depth to the game.
You get contacted by a lot of the big players in the industry. You mentioned Etihad earlier. And you mentioned as well earlier that you did a video for a private jet company. One of the things that you touched on was the fact that people were looking for more realness in the way that things are videoed or shared. Why do you think this has come about?
I think this is because people like to look at things they cannot attain to. This luxury element in there for the private jets, for the private Boeing Dreamliner in the Dubai Air Show, that, you know, not everyone can afford to pay $70,000 an hour to charter a flight like that. So there's a lot of wow factor. There's a lot of excitement. People can see how the rich travel and get aspired to as well. And however, I don't see just luxury as just one element of aviation and tourism. I can see the reality it can be on Air Arabia, it can be on Fly Dubai, it can be on any airlines or any hotel or travel provider, that there's a lot of interest of people want to see. And imagine if I go to a travel website, the flight from here to Bombay in India is the same price of $200 of airline A, B, C, and D. And the breaking point of making a decision might come down to that Instagram post or that Facebook post or some reputation in the head of the customer. They remember something, an image or a video that drives them to make that business decision to buy that ticket. So I see social media can play a great factor in decision making.
Thank you. Michelle?
I think it's true. I think everyone's on a self-discovery path right now for social media. I think everyone wants to turn to social media to become a blogger or journalist themselves, or to be even inspired. But for the self-discovery of social media is really a long path to get there. You have to stay always true to yourself. There's three elements: consistency, honesty, and real time. These are the things that a lot of new social media influencers are finding it a bit challenging as well. Anything when it comes to real time, people see it as something attainable. When it's always masked or edited, or when things are not moving, when it's really unattainable, it becomes unreal. So there's a difference between what's attainable and what's not attainable. And I think people today are really looking into feeling the same way that the influencer that they're following, being able to reach the same target audience, and yeah, that's what.
Thank you. Captain?
Sam touched on a great point. Social media is all about being real. When you are a brand or you are a company or so, and you say that we have this product and we think this product is the best product and that product is very good, okay, people will hear you, but they will not believe you. But when it comes from an influencer, when they see you as one of them, They trust you and say, okay, I've tried this and that, but this is the best one. They will go for what you say is the best.
Thank you, Captain. To Sam, I'd like to know from your experience, what do you think the upcoming trends are for personalization, A, and for B, how companies can communicate in the industry better through social media with their audiences?
I think, like every airline, every company here has their official channels of social media, from Twitter to Instagram to Facebook to YouTube and everything. And I think one thing great about social media that is very different to journalism, to traditional newspaper, is that you can share the content. You can literally digital copy everything and share it. And then so, for example, earlier I was in Dubai Air Show, this extravagant Boeing Dreamliner private business jet. I put a video out on Facebook, and we've got about 150,000 shares along from my channel. And then that 150,000 hit other people. They're going to share it to their friends and family. So I don't know how many at the end. I don't have an analytic tool to quantify, but I know there are lots of analytic tools now available these days to quantify what is true about, what is the impact about a digital influencer across anything, travel, tourism, or anything else. Because in the old days, we have seen, in terms of integrity, the lack of integrity in social media. If you see a movie has 2 million views, but it only has 200 likes, what does that mean? Does that mean this is out of proportion? A 2 million views movie should at least we expect 20,000 likes to have that kind of engagement level to be, real. So if you see something that number doesn't look right, that's probably either a sponsor paid content or the numbers are fudged. And then there's ways to tell, there's ways to quantify. I think the future for the companies who want to invest in social media must understand how to quantify the results from social media. They must invest in a great amount of tracking to see the results. And it's not the traditional advertising game,
No. Michelle?
I think the future of social media lies in marketing campaigns, one, and in videos as well. We've created 2 years ago a campaign called Travel with TJT, where we invite 8 travel influencers from across the globe, and we work closely with brands. We've worked with brands such as Fly Dubai, Emirates, Qatar Airways. We've done a lot of work with hotels, Four Seasons, the Ritz-Carlton, and we've partnered up together where we would invite 8 travel bloggers where I would curate the whole thing and the message would be sent across, and together we'd create a content on video. And I think this is where video started to go viral, and we started to realize that people who are following are very much interested into video, and that's why I was telling Sam, being a YouTuber is extremely difficult because you've got a lot of content to edit, and I've tried doing that, and it's, hats down to him. But I mean, this is where the future is going, and this is where our campaigns are leading up to now. So brands should start to realize that attention span of the millennials and today's generation is very low, unless you have targeting a much older generation where you can send out the right message in a photo or in a message where you put in a caption, or even on a blog where you write your story. But I think definitely the future is with video.
Thank you. Captain?
When you put content for the world on your social media platform, that content must be worthy of their time. The followers, they are smart. They can spot you from miles away when you're trying to sell them something, or when you are trying just to waste their time with just being consistent on the product. So do not try to force them anything. Give them something worthy of their time. Be sincere with what you offer, and then everyone will be following.
Well, that kind of answers my next question in terms of what are the most important elements in terms of executing a well-rounded social media campaign. However, I'd like to table for your opinion and feedback the recent launch of Emirates First Class and the social media campaign surrounding that and how it was personalized.
It's actually, I'm fairly passionate talking about this one because, believe me or not, this, as you probably know, Emirates is a magnet of, attractiveness in the sense of social media. They have probably the largest amount, the number of followers in any airline company, and it's interesting to know why and why they're so successful. And I'm still trying to understand and try to demyth this, try to break it down. The recent first class launch was amazingly successful in terms of Emirates have no short of up to Hollywood A-lister to want to work with. And there's no short of, from their comms team telling me that they're getting 15, 20 requests every day from digital influencer all over the world, because this is a brand that everyone thinks they can get something out of it. It's no doubt that's the truth. The first class being very successful, apart from the product itself, is game-changing. It's marketed very well, and they prepared it very well for everybody to go there to make the photo, to make the video. They have a team of promoter, scripted, trained it well, dressed it well, just to get the whole experience defined well. Because I think they must be one of the companies that embrace digital so well that they foresee what we need. They foresee as a digital influencer what you need to make it successful. They work with you well, and there you go. That's why I think it was a very successful launch.
Thank you. Michelle?
I think the Emirates, not aware of what's happening. Sorry.
It was they launched the first class, the
Yes.
new first class with Jeremy Clarkson,
Yes?
and it was all over social media. So I just wanted your feedback on what you thought, how you thought that was personalized.
I think Emirates, just like Sam said, I think they have a great marketing campaign, especially using celebrities and Hollywood stars. I think everyone wants to get on board the whole Emirates dream because of their campaign. I think they're doing it right. I think they're doing it really right because they're engaging with their followers, which is something that a lot of brands should be doing. They're consistent with posting on their social media, and they throw in competitions and make people dream, and explain the routes, different routes, which is very important for an aviation organization to do, because there's not a lot of time where you look through the magazines just to find what airline can take you there or go online. But when you follow Emirates as an example, and then when you publicize the different routes you have, I think that's also something very successful.
Thank you. Captain, flying an airplane yourself?
Yeah, first of all, I'd have to say that unfortunately the social media is being neglected from the airline industry. They are just starting to scratch the surface of it, but Emirates is an exception. They are dominating the social media war. Now, being a pilot and an influencer, I have both sides where I am in contact with the customers and I'm in contact with the potential customers as well. So I know both perspective and what do they need from an airplane. And the thing that Emirates did with the 777 is an extremely good job. They've taken it to the next level. It's making it really hard for other competition to work with.
Thank you. Just as a last question to close the discussion with before we open up the Q&A, you all know about Airbnb, you all know about Booking.com, Skyscanner, the apps that we have access to on our mobile phones now, and this is classified under mobile tech right now. Why do you think these applications are so popular across the board in all generations?
I think the number one is the accessibility, the transparency of these apps. You can compare the prices across the board with one easiness, way to see the whole thing. So, and also it's integrity as well. I think there's a lot of trust in these apps. So people tend to go back to them, and it worked for them, and they will continue to work well with them. And that's how I see it. It's just the whole user friendliness, easiness, and accessibility. I do want to come back to earlier what Captain's point. I sort of agree and disagree. I agree that the way, generally, I think airline still falling a little bit behind in digital embracing. That per se is not saying everyone in this region. I, in fact, had a surprising discovery. I found that in this region, airlines are actually, because of that competition, Emirates is very big, and you have Qatar Airways, Etihad, the big three. And these big three are, you know, if you check their Instagram, they are the biggest three in the world in terms of airline. Bigger than KLM, bigger than Cathay Pacific, Singapore Airlines, Lufthansa, United. And the American ones are actually still far behind. But that's disproportionate in terms of how many passengers, how much business they carry. And in the Middle East, it's actually ahead of the game. I get a lot more opportunity as a digital influencer to go on this airline to promote something about, you know, something, because they think ahead of it. They have to drive the next wave of consumer, which is now all on social media. In 10 years, 20 years, these people will become the business leader to make that decision. So this is, they think ahead of this game, and then you can naturally also see those companies who do not engage in social media are generally falling behind in terms of everything. That's how I see it. It's a very proportional investment.
Michelle? About the booking apps, personal experience. I only use them to compare maybe prices, but I never book through them. Contrary to what Sam would think, I wouldn't say I'd say they're transparent in being out there, they're easy accessible, you're right, but they're not, to me, personally, transparent with their pricing. I think a lot of people love the fact that Airbnb, Booking.com, and all of these apps are out there to give you options. But I think everyone's starting to know that the best way to go through them is directly through the property, where you can get better deals, maybe better rates, value for money, and cancellation policies as well. I mean, these are something very, very important, which I always rather go directly to the party instead of using a third-party app or, you know, different apps for it. I think going directly through the hotel or the airlines as a Skyscanner, or, you know, I think it's a more reliable source than a third-party source. But it's definitely out there to give us options. I mean, I definitely go on Skyscanner, for example, just to see what routes can take me if I want to go to Finland, you know. But then when I see that if Emirates is going or Finnair is going directly, I would definitely go through Finnair website and book directly through them, because I just feel safer, I think.
Captain?
I see these applications like Airbnb, like they succeeded the same way we succeeded. They came from the people to the people because somebody was missing something and wanted that to happen and see it in reality. And he made it happen. And that's what everybody thinks, oh, I'm missing the same thing. I wanted that as well. So they are on board. And they are being supporting them until they became companies now. But they all succeeded on the same principle, that they are from the people who are missing something and they are offering.
Thank you. That concludes the set of questions for today's panels. If anybody has a question they'd like to share or get answered by the 3 social media influencers we have today, please let us know.
شكرا جزيلا. أنا خالد خليل. Excuse me, can you put it through?
بحكي عربي.
أحكي عربي؟ أيوه. أنا خالد خليل، مدير القسم السياحي في صحيفة سبق السعودية. هذه الصحيفة هي الموقع الإلكتروني الأول في المملكة العربية السعودية وفي الخليج. الحقيقة يعني بخصوص السوشيال ميديا، ومعروف من الدراسات ومن بعض الأرقام الخاصة بأن المملكة العربية السعودية هي السوق الأول في السوشيال ميديا، أو على تويتر بالذات رقم 1 عالميا في زيادة معدل استخدام تويتر. نتأسف لأنه لا يوجد ممثلا للتواصل الاجتماعي بالمملكة العربية السعودية في هذه القمة، وهذه الملاحظة أود أن أعلم أو أعرف تفسيرها من قبل قمة العرب للطيران. النقطة الثانية والأخيرة هي أن موضوع التواصل الاجتماعي في المنطقة العربية يسيطر عليه في إدارته الكثير من الزملاء الإعلاميين من دول أوروبا أو دول شرق آسيا. نقطتين مهمتين وهما اختلاف الثقافات. مهما يكن من أرباب السوشيال ميديا غير العرب لن يستطيعوا أن يفهموا الثقافة العربية بشكل 100%. زميلنا سام مبدع جدا في موقعه، ولكننا في المملكة العربية السعودية لا نستطيع فهم الكثير من الإيحاءات أو الجمل التي يطرحها باللغة الإنجليزية عبر موقعه أو عبر منصته. أتمنى من قمة العرب بأن تهتم باللغة العربية طبعا كلغة رسمية، لأن حتى اسمها قمة العرب. ثانيا وضع وضع المسؤولين أو وضع ممثلي مواقع التواصل الاجتماعي العربي السعودي بالذات أو العربي بشكل عام على المنصات ليحاولون أن نتحدث عن الكثير من الفوائد أو المشاكل. أعتذر للإطالة وشكرا جزيلا.
ممكن أنا أجاوب؟
أسأل حضرتك ناطر رد من الأخ أو لا؟ بدك يانا نجاوب على التعليقات أم لا؟
طبعا نجاوب.
أوكي، خلي كابتن فراس يستلم.
أستاذ خليل صح؟ أول شيء أنا بدأت السوشيال ميديا مش ككابتن أو طيار كويتي. بدأت السوشيال ميديا لتقديم ثقافة الطيران باللغة العربية. هذا البرنسبل اللي أنا أشتغل عليه، مش للكويت، مش للخليج، للوطن العربي كامل. أي أحد يتكلم اللغة العربية أنا أغطي له ثقافة الطيران. وهذا الحمد لله مش بشهادتي أنا، بشهادة متابعيني. عندي أكثر من 100,000 متابع بس في الانستغرام، غير متابعيني في وسائل التواصل الاجتماعي الأخرى. عندي حاليا كتاب أصدرته أسرار على الطيران أيضا باللغة العربية. طلبوا مني أن أنزل باللغة الإنجليزية، قلت لا، أنا هدفي أنشر ثقافة الطيران باللغة العربية للوطن العربي. أي شيء ثاني في المرحلة الثانية. الحين اللي يسوي سام ما هو محاسب في انه هو ليش ما يقدم في اللغه العربيه، ولكن سام بيز او اساسا موجود هني في المنطقه عندنا في شريحه كبيره ايضا تتلف اللغه الانجليزيه، ولكن انا معه في انه المفروض يقدم شريحه عربيه في الموضوع. ايضا انا قاعد اغطي موضوع اليوتيوب، وايضا اغطي بعض شركات الطيران في اللغه العربيه بحسب المستطاع، لان انا شخص بالتالي وايضا مقدرتي المحدوده بالقدر اللي انا اقدر عليه. ولكن كنت تماما ان القمه هني ما اتوفيني هني ممثل لدوله الكويت، اتوفيني ممثل للغه العربيه واللغه العربيه.
سؤال next question. You have a microphone?
شكرا. مش متأكد الأخ لو أول قمة يحضرها ولا لا، بس تصحيحا السنة اللي فات في الأردن كان عندنا نفس الحوار، البلوجرز والسوشيال ميديا، كانوا 3 حاضرين نفس الشيء. 2 من الإخوان كانوا من شباب من المملكة العربية السعودية، وكان جدا شيء ممتع، وعرفونا كثير السوشيال ميديا اللي يغطونا بالعالم العربي وفي المملكة وعن سوق السوشيال ميديا في المملكة، وكان شيء ممتع. فطبعا لابد ان كل سنة يكون اشخاص مختلفين.
اشكرك على هذا التعليق. في اي سؤال ثاني؟ any other question from the audience?
شكرا جزيلا ملاحظة أنا بدي أستغل هذا المنتدى كأمم متحدة وأرجو البلوجرز الموجودين إنه التركيز والإشارة دائما على الدور الإنساني والتنموي الذي قد يلعبه الطيران، طيران مدني عالميا. كنا حكينا عن كثير من الأرقام المهمة، يعني أن تقوم منظمة اليونيسف بأن تجمع الكوينز من الطائرات 150 مليون دولار لفترة تحول إلى خدمة الأطفال، هذا شيء رائع. وبنتمنى من كل البلوجرز والناشطين في هذا المجال الإشارة إلى هذا الدور التنموي والإنساني الذي يمكن أن تلعبه شركات الطيران. شكرا جزيلا لكم. المدني. لا على مختلف
I just want to translate quickly for our colleague Sam. The question over there that was retrieved from the back was commentary on the absence of somebody representing the Saudi social media, it being the country with the largest number of Twitter users and the largest average for growth in Twitter users and other social media platforms. That was not for us, that was for the organizers. Apologies to the organizers. The other commentary was that, this is a valid question, do you find, to all three of you, do you find that the difference in cultural values between the West and the East, particularly in the Middle East as they present themselves day in, day out, are not addressed well enough in social media communications on platforms through the companies here?
I'm really glad the gentleman brought that question because I had the same feeling. Saudi Arabia has large, enormous amount of, like Twitter, the largest, and also Snapchat. And actually, Saudi is also kind of a trendsetter, influencing this whole region here. So, but I have to say, it's very difficult for myself as a foreigner to go to Saudi Arabia to do business, to promote. I have a large amount of interest about Saudi Arabia to promoting, to see and discovering as well to their business, their airlines, and because their airlines is literally half door closed to the outside world. It's not able to. We talk about transparency, we're talking about the service delivery, and it's only the people in Saudi Arabia or in the region knows about Saudi Airlines. So I think there's a lot of scoop there, a lot of opportunities out there.
Thank you. Are there any more questions from the audience? No? Okay. Thank you. That translation, okay, I'll translate. It was a commentary on it being the requirement for humanitarian activities and values to be reflected in social media, such as the collection of extra or spare change from when you're on flight and you get out, that envelope that's in front of you and you drop the change. It was this gentleman recommending that this be given more attention.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
I work a lot on the humanitarian side of travel. I completely agree with this side. As I was just talking to them today about us bloggers or influencers or Instagrammers having a voice. And it's not just really about travel and beautiful places, it's also about information. It's also about the efforts of the aviation and the hotels that collaborated with different organizations, charity organizations across the globe to try to maintain sustainability in hospitality world. I personally worked with Virgin Atlantic, where we worked with We movement, where we were trying to push travelers to put more money into the envelope where they can donate. But we discovered something really fantastic, actually. And I've been doing this for a very long time. To request for people to give spare change or raise money for a certain project, it's extremely difficult. But what we found very successful, especially on Virgin Atlantic, is that we've partnered up with a team of women in Kenya where they made the Rafiki, the bracelets, and we started to sell them on Virgin Atlantic flights. And we've seen a growth in people purchasing these bracelets, and this directly goes to helping the women in Kenya. And I think this kind of thing from an airline perspective, it's very important and should be stressed on more on the airline and not just only on the influencer or the blogger or the traveler. I think we should have a creative way of trying to push people to give their spirit change, but in purchasing something in return as well, to say, you know what, here you go, you know, I've just bought a Rafiki bracelet and I've saved this or I've done that, or try to have them involved more into the process. There's a lot of hotels now that we work with. We do CSR projects like you know, diving to clean up the coral reefs, raising awareness for different things, which I think aviation. I mean, imagine if you've got, you know, 300 passengers, 150. Imagine $1 with that. That's a lot of money you could possibly make to help, you know, the humanitarian side of it. But I believe that you should really be creative enough to do something. And not just put money, you know, just a call to action, because that's something that the aviation industry can do so well in. I love that question.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I think on a closing note, I'm sure you all agree with me that the biggest benefit of social media has been that it makes us all feel a little bit that much more compelled to bring our good side and to hold other people accountable.
Well, I must say at closing that the Aviation Summit is one of the forerunning and leading summit because you guys value digital influencer. You guys value social media. That's why we are here to talk about things, which I haven't seen any aviation summits have this kind of feature. So this is ahead of the game.
Thank you to the panelists and thank you for the audience, and have a great afternoon.
Fabulous session. Thanks very much indeed for sharing your insights. You can find all these guys on their various social media handles, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube as well in particular, for Sam. The amount of people who follow their every move is quite extraordinary.